Here's why this $3,000 book about Jewish history is so expensive. First and foremost, let's start this off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and we do so by Shema Mashiach Yahweh Shai. It's Priest Sakai, aka Deacon Genesis, back at y'all with another one, ready to dagger y'all up with some truth and some powerful information, some news you can use, and some knowledge that you won't get in college. You see this obsidian? We're ready to stick obsidian. We're ready to dagger with this obsidian, bringing out this information and truth. You understand that? So yeah, I usually have my sword in hand. I got my dagger in hand tonight, but this is a cold blade, and this is how we coming. We coming cutting with the information. You know, we got coconut water. Go ahead and sponsor me. 100% coconut water. Spring Valley. Hey, drink out the glass. Get rid of them forever chemicals. My brother Hassad, what's going on, man? Give us an introduction.
All praises to the Most High, you guys. Listen, we've been talking about this video for a while now, and you know, with all that's going on in the world, it's important that we go into stuff like this. You know, Jeremiah 16, it tells us that in the kingdom, the Gentiles are going to come from all over the world and come up to us and say, surely our fathers have inherited lies. So we're here to dispel the lies and tell the truth that has been hidden for so long. So all praises to the Most High.
All praises, y'all. Everybody fall in, climb in, hit the like button. We about to get started. We about to get started and get right into it. Oh, you know what I got to do too? I got to go to my Facebook, Hassad. I got to show them how this all started. I have to show them how this all started. If you want to get it all started, Walmart to Walmart it. If you want to get it all started, Walmart to Walmart it. Y'all should know what that means if you're moving money around. Shout out to my brother BIG in the building. The water for the super chat donation. Greatly appreciate you. I heard Trump punked Putin to ceasefire. We'll see how that goes. We'll probably report on that later tonight or even tomorrow or maybe Sunday, Lord willing, through the Spirit. Let's see. We got the real GOAT, Big G's in the chat. You already know. We appreciate you. Appreciate you. Let me go to my good old Facebook so I can show you guys why we're even here today. So, let me take this off the screen here. Take this off the screen. And let's go ahead and show why we are here today. There we go. All right. Now, this is my Facebook, in case you guys didn't know. Deacon Hakai Genesis. And the reason why I'm showing y'all this is because I posted this reel on Facebook and it got 2 million views. Let's take a look here. Right here. Look at this, y'all. This is what I posted. New World Jewry, 1493 to 1825. Guess how much this book is? Wow, 3,000. I wonder what they're hiding in here. I'm about to figure it out. Now look at this. Look at the analytics on this. 1,988,640,000. 2 million views on this. What does this say? What does this mean? Just like Brother Hassad said, we are in the age of information. The Bible says that in Daniel chapter 12, verse 4, at the end, knowledge shall increase. Not only will we unearth and be revealed more information, whether it be worldly information, carnal information, or spiritual information, it's going to be dispensed at a rapid rate in the end times. And everybody will thirst for it as well. And so this is what you see. You have true biblical Israelites inquiring about the book. You have other nations inquiring about the book, Gentiles. I had white people hitting me up, African people hitting me up, Australian, East Indian. They want to know what's in the book. And so I just posted that, and then I woke up the next morning, it was viral. 2 million views on it, right? So the comments went crazy, 4,100 comments, 60,000 interactions. I got 13,000 followers from this. 13,000 followers just from this little clip. But it's not just that everybody was intrigued about how much the book costs. It's about the cover of the book, and it's about the Jewish community, which is a mystic, surreptitious, and clandestine community to begin with.
Yeah.
You understand? So I'm gonna give it right to you. I'm gonna give it right back to you. So after that, I said we need to do a presentation on this, and I posted that I'm gonna do a presentation on it. And this little 60-second clip about me presenting it. Join me this Friday. This even got what? 60,000 views. So this is why we're here, y'all. This is why we're here, because people want to hear and know the truth, and we're here to give it. Look, we might get canceled today. We've been canceled before. We just make new platforms and create and blaze new trails. So pray for us, be with us, support us. Don't be saying nothing crazy in the chat like somebody just said right now, Jesus Christ. But so while we're reading from the book, we're going to be using code words, and you guys will be able to pick up on it. Go ahead and say what you're going to say, King.
All praise to the Most High. No, I think they've been waiting long enough. I think we should let's just get into the information.
Let's get into the. Y'all see this? I'm gonna get my big sword in a second. Right now, we're just playing with my obsidian dagger, but we don't get the big guns out in a second. All right. So without further ado, y'all, as you can see, I'm gonna put this up one more time. Certain books, if you do have the PDF to it, you have to make sure that the PDF version matches the hard copy. Why? PDF versions can be watered down, censored, and miss key pages. So we have to compare the PDF with the hard copy, which I have present today. Also, if you guys can get your hands on the hard copy, everyone is not $3,000. We're going to explain. Every one of them is not $3,000. The paperbacks are not that much. When it gets closer to how old they are, the original copies, maybe signatures, you'll see the high price. So it's a plurality of things that decide or determine why the book is priced so much, especially what's in the content of the actual book. Okay. Also, before we get started, I want to refer you guys to this book as well, because Paul Johnson is actually drawing from a lot of the information that this book is drawing from. This is 1982, I believe. This is early 90s. This is going to be Paul Johnson's history of the Jewish people. Okay, we got to talk like that for the remainder and the duration of the broadcast. A history of the Jewish people. I mean, Hassan, ain't that crazy? If we were talking about Arabs, we could laugh at how much America blows their little babies' bodies to smithereens and go viral. We can talk about what happened with Hiroshima and Nagasaki when they blew all them people to smithereens. But man, if you say something about a certain mother lover, a certain father mucker, right?
Well,
you will get banned.
Yeah, there's a saying, if you want to know who rules over you, just look for who you're not allowed to criticize. So,
type deal.
It's very interesting that you can talk. If we talk about white people and their horrible acts of violence that they did towards us during the transatlantic slave trade, everyone's going to go, yeah, you're right. It's true. It's factual history. all of a sudden, when we talk about the people who wear little hats on their head, now we're just raging low IQ, can't even say the words.
All right, without further ado, y'all, let's get this started. As promised, we put the PDF presentation together, and like most of our presentations, there is a free PDF link to this presentation in the description box, so you can get it after, or you can download it now so that you can follow along with us, however you want to do it. Okay? That being said, we are about to get started, y'all. Put them big G's in the chat so we can get started. Big G's in the chat so we can get this started. Big gold G's in the chat. Oh, and of course, a lot of y'all said, Priest, you spent 3 Band-Aids on that book. I did not spend $3,000 on this book. But what I will say is we have a powerful brother who is able to get us books that are thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because he magically makes them appear.
Yeah.
We don't know how he does it. And guess what? I don't want to know how he does it.
Right.
So next week we'll be presenting. I got another book that's coming. I think it's worth a few thousand, about I forget what it's about, but be on the lookout for that. Next Friday, Lord willing, we'll be we're going to start presenting all these expensive books and what's in the content, why they're pricing them so high. What should I say? Outpricing them,
right?
So that we can't get our hands on them.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? All praises. We got enough G's in the chat. All right, we got enough G's in the chat. Let's get this started. New World Jewry. New World Jewry. For those of you who don't know what the word Jewry means, it means you're following Judaism strictly, like a zealot. Okay, that's what it means by Jewry. Now, a lot of people looked at the title and said, this has something to do with the New World Order. Any world order, whether it's old, new, it has something to do with these people. Any world order, I'm gonna say that again. Any world order, these individuals are behind it. This is an absolute fact. They funded both sides of the world war. We talk about world orders. They fund both sides of the world wars. 2 brothers funded both sides of World War I. Both ate off of that. World War II, wars in antiquity, not antiquity, but medieval period to today. So any world order is going to be them pushing this worldwide agenda to the masses, shaping it as well with the media. Now, when we say world order, it doesn't mean it's real. They use the media to shape any narrative they want. It's a fact. So what you see on the cover is covering the what's called the colonial period, 1493 to 1825, which really should be 1441. Let me just correct them, because in this book they're giving us some truths. But of course, why would the devil give you all truth? Mm-hmm. The true colonial period is 1441 to 1865. Why? They're trying to say, well, 1493 is because that's when they came over to the Americas, but we started getting kidnapped off the shores of West Africa in 1441 by Prince Henry of Portugal. Then it goes all the way up to 1865, when you have us being so-called liberated physically off the plantation. Then you got Jim Crow after that. So really, one could argue that it even surpasses that. 10,000, 12,000 Jim Crow laws, making it captivity legal under the 13th Amendment. That's all. You wanted to speak on that? Mm-mm. You understand? So yeah, a lot of people were just intrigued by. Now, this is some spooky spooky stuff. What's going on here? Those in the black hoodie, the people in the black hoodie, that's the holy office. Uh-oh. That's the holy office. See, Christianity, you guys are no better. Matter of fact, you're worse. Oh, they're gonna get mad at this, Hassan. Christianity is worse than the hitter.
We'll call him Young Dolph.
Young Dolph. There we go. That's great. Instead of saying his name, it rhymes with Hister. It almost sounds like Hister. We're gonna say Young Dolph. You guys should Young Dolph Hister. Christianity is worse than him. Because guess what? Before he was even born, this is what Christianity was doing to the people who they believe to be you wish. So these are what you would call I forget the technical name for them, but they carried out the capital punishments. They carried out the death sentences. And who they're crucifying is a convert, a small hat, a tiny hat, a Jewish individual. This is the Christian church. Or you might say, oh, that's the Catholic church. That's the Catholic. Man, listen. Catholic church, Christian church, Christianity, it's all under that. They're all under the same umbrella. Virgin birth, triune God, don't keep no laws. You could do whatever the hell you want. Just bring penance to the papal and tithes to the damn pastor.
Yeah, and the Protestant Reformation wasn't until the 1500s. So anything in the 1400s, that's all. They're all Christian. There's no outside of exactly.
Hey, punch landed. No, drive that home inside. Yeah. Emphasize that one. Let's camp out right there real quick.
Any acts of violence that were perpetuated by believers in Jesus in the 1400s, someone might try to say, well, that's the Catholic Church. That's not my form of Christianity. All Christians were Catholics until the Protestant Reformation, with the very, very, very few exceptions. Very few. The 99% of the world were Catholics. 99% of identifying Christians were a part of the Catholic Church, unless you had some odd sect. So all these acts of violence under the name of Christianity, albeit done by Catholics, it's still Christianity.
Right. So you guys can't escape your bloody past. Let's not talk about the doctrine of discovery. So these people who say they're Jewish in Christianity, they all had a part of the world order, which they thought was going to fully come to pass in these centuries right here. So now, why is it so expensive? Hassad, somebody told me on the comment board that they seen one for $12,000. Now, I did see another one for $4,500, but the hard copy going rate is about $3,000. Anybody can look this up on Amazon. Why is it so expensive? Now, we're going to talk about some of the reasons it's expensive, but we're also going to add in, of course, they're not going to say we don't want these people who are really God's chosen people, according to history, archaeology, and prophecy, to see that we're exposing ourselves and telling on ourselves. Satan casting out Satan. They don't want to see that, or they don't want to admit that, excuse me. Right? So Seymour Lieben, he's a Jewish man himself, and he's unintentionally exposing his people in this book. Now he sets out to say, oh, my people, they don't really care about the history, so I'm laboring and giving this secular history and religious history from my people, but he tells on himself at the same time. Why? Because once you tell a lie, you got to cover up that lie with a lie, and you got to cover up that lie with a lie until you forget whence you came from and from whence you've fallen from. New World Jewry is presented in a highly scholarly and academic style, drawing from primary historical documents, official legal codes. I'm just letting y'all know this book is prestigious, scholarly, and academic. Is it 100%? infallible? No. But this is a serious piece of work here, and substantiated scholars use it. Official legal codes, church decrees, and government archives. Its meticulous citations, you can get that in the book, all the references, formal analysis, and reliance on verifiable sources give it the weight of serious academic research rather than mere opinion, making its conclusions difficult to dismiss. That means what you're going to hear today holds weight and validity. Understand? New World Jewry exposes a rarely discussed layer of history, revealing how young Dolph Hister and anti-small hat, we're going to use that, Nuremberg laws were modeled in part on earlier Catholic Church statutes that restricted Jewish people in Europe. I got to say that slowly because I want everybody to hear this. No way are we skewed and saying what young Dolph Hister did was right.
Right.
Okay. But they're acting like he did not have a reason, although his reason is not being excused. And they're also acting like he didn't draw his ideology and his laws from the Catholic Church prior.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. There's a good book on that I bought some years ago called Our Hands Are Stained with Blood by Dr. Michael Brown. And he kind of goes into that in his book about where this ideology,
give me 1 second.
Where did young Dolph get some of these tenets from concerning anti-Sem stuff? So I'll just finish this this page out. It says, the book uncovers young Dolph's hidden agenda. I hope we all understand what we mean when we say Shalom Yonathan. When we say young Dolph. Young Dolph is the leader of Germany in the 1930s and 40s. That's what we're going to call him, because you can't say his name. He is he who which shall not be named. All right. It says they uncover Mr. H's hidden agenda and the deep institutional roots of these laws, showing that the very people modern society calls the Yehudi, calls the Israelis, were complicit in legal systems that later targeted them. So these same systems that were targeted them, that were used to target them in the 1940s during their atrocities, they also did to other various groups of people. So it was kind of coming full circle. Mm-hmm. It says, by documenting their role in their own disqualification according to biblical and historical standards, the book indirectly points toward who the true Israelites really are. Hope everybody understands what that means. So they're not outright saying that, yeah, we're not the Israelites. But based on them telling the truth about certain things, then it is clear that they cannot be the Israelites based on the information that we're going to present tonight. So
let me ask this brother a question. He says, what are you hitting? Why does this matter? Why does it not matter? Is the question. Why does it not matter? Why is it irrelevant? Yeah, don't drop the H-bomb in the chat, y'all. Right now, so where'd you go to?
I'm almost at the end. It says, this uncomfortable truth, backed by rare historical records, is a major reason why New World Jewry commands such a high price today.
Right, because it's telling the truth after they told lies. Mm-hmm. That's why. Oh, look, we have to cover our behinds because we lied so much. And now the cat's out the bag. You understand that? That's why it matters. The Bible says, don't be ignorant of any matter, whether great or small. And this is a great matter. Maybe, and again, Hassad, there's a lot of people. The clip went viral. There's 2 million people who've seen this 40-second clip. There's going to be people in the chat who are completely destitute of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, who are very rudimentary and biblically unsophisticated and just not intelligent at all. Okay, so let's keep going. He'll learn something today. So this is in light of what we just read in that slide,
you might want to put that on full screen. You guys need to see this. They're shaking hands.
Who is that? Tell them who that is, Assad.
That's young. That's young Dolph. That's who that is.
Shaking whose hand?
That is a priest.
So this is why in this book it talks about how he got his ideology to do what he wanted to do with the Jewish people from the Catholic Church prior, because this what they were doing to Jewish people with the Spanish Inquisition and other places and countries as well. Put a G in the chat if you understand. Put a G in the chat if you understand.
Oh, sorry. He's not just a priest. He's a bishop. This is a high-ranking Catholic.
So if you guys are going to be mad at young Dolph, you have to be mad at the whole Christian church, because they did this to those people before he even attempted to. Decades, maybe centuries. Matter of fact, yes, centuries before young Dolph was born, the Christian church was doing this to the Jewish people. So keep that same energy for your Christian church, who is fake frauds and part-time broads infiltrating this truth. You know what? We don't even need to be on screen. Let's just keep going here, right? The historical, huh?
I was going to say we can take turns reading slides if you want to.
All right, I'll read this one. The historical records shows that the Catholic Church laws and attitudes towards Jewish people long predate young Dolph's, and in many ways laid the foundation for his ideology. The Inquisition, for those of you who don't know what the Inquisition is, this is the Holy Office and all of that during this time, 1400s, 1500s. The Inquisition's persecution of small hats, the creation of legal restrictions on where they could live in the ghettos, what jobs they could hold, how they dressed, and even their forced conversions were all well established centuries before young Dolph history. If people held the Catholic Church to the same moral scrutiny they applied to history, they would see that much of his Jewish policies wasn't invented out of thin air. It was borrowed and adapted from an existing framework of anti-small hat statutes and theologies crafted by religious authorities. The outrage should be consistent, because the roots of his ideology are directly tied to church policy. Bars. The roots of his ideology are directly tied to church policy, not his personal disdain for them. Understand who he got it from. Your white Jesus church.
So what is going on the cover of the book? Someone might look at that and say, well, what am I looking at? What is that?
As you can see, there's logs under. It looks at first like she's getting ready to be hung, but this is not her being hung. This is her being burned. But who is she is the question. You can keep going.
Okay. Page 47 confirms that the cover image depicts the burning of Mariana de Carvajal in 1601. She was a conversa, a person of, I can say that, of Jewish ancestry who had converted to Catholicism. Often under pressure, accused by the Spanish Inquisition of secretly practicing Judaism, the scene shows her bound to a stake wearing the conical Corza hat of shame. So they made her wear a dunce hat. Standing atop stacked logs for execution by fire. One man secures her to the post, another tends the fire, and onlookers watch the public execution. This event reflects the brutal enforcement of Catholic orthodoxy in the New World, where the Inquisition targeted crypto use, and other deemed heretics. It visually embodies the book's central theme, persecution of them people in the Americas between 1493 and 1825.
Right. So before young Dolph was putting individuals in ovens, your Catholic Church, Christianity was putting these same individuals in ovens. So who did young Dolph learn it from? Again, this isn't excusing what he did. It's telling you where he got it from, where he got his ideologies from, where they're rooted in, and how you should keep that same energy for him that you have to the Catholic Church as well, to Christianity in general. Or you're a hypocrite. Now, on the very first page, here's what's funny, y'all. On the very first page, the author says the indigenous people of South America, because I want you guys to understand something. The book is focusing on the colonization of South America, okay?
The New World.
The New World. So these indigenous people identified the Jewish man with the devil. Why? Can anybody guess why the indigenous people would identify or associate the Jewish man with the devil? Is it because these people just didn't like other people? Is it because they used to celebrate Halloween and walk around with devil horns on? You know, it's what they experienced from them. It's the oppression, colonization, and captivity that they experienced from these Jewish people, which is why they associated them with the devil. And it's also because they probably, more than likely, knew what the Bible said about how you got to be careful what we say. So, Hassad, if you can read, can you even see that?
Yeah, I zoomed in much.
Okay, let's go to the second paragraph. Where's the third paragraph? The association of
here we go.
Right there.
The association of the fellow on the right, who with the side curls, with the devil, was made obvious to this writer during travels in southern Mexico, the mountains of Guatemala, and the outskirts of Arequipa in Peru. So 3 different countries, 3 different people. They had, what do they say? The first impressions go a long ways. So when these people came across the indigenous population of North, Central, and South America, they all came to the same conclusion when they first met them. You're the devil. It says, on 3 different occasions, when I said, soy in judío, I wear small hats. The spontaneous reaction of my auditors was to stare at my forehead to see the horns, meaning they were waiting for some horns to grow out of them.
Let's camp out real quick right there. He said when he went down there and said he was Jewish, they were looking under his damn cap to see if horns were going to pop out. You can't make this stuff up. And it's strictly because they parade themselves and really charade themselves as God's chosen holy people, light to the world. But everywhere they go, the people there say that they are the devil.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to why they were allegedly kicked out of 300 countries, whatever. No, well, 100 countries, whatever. 109. We're gonna this book tells you why. That's why I say they're telling on themselves. This is a Jewish man writing this book. So keep going.
It says, unabashed, I asked them why they were looking at my head. 2 admitted surprise at not finding horns, and 1 replied with embarrassment, no sé, I don't know. It says, more surprising in the acceptance of prejudice as fact in the respective halls of academia. I can't really read it. It says the Diccionario Manual of the Spanish Royal Academy, 2nd edition, Madrid, 1950.
That's it. I just wanted to highlight that part, that the indigenous people associated them with the devil. Now, you guys are going to be blown away. We're only on page 1.
Right.
You guys are going to be blown away by what we show and highlight and magnify in this book. But I want to tell you guys one thing. I can't even wait. the Sephardi, y'all who know me know that a couple years ago, I found a smoking gun to debunk the Ashkenazim. I gotta say it. What do I mean by debunk? Showing that they're not registered on the roster. See, you got people in the game who registered on the roster, and then you got imposters. That's all I gotta say. You gotta read between the lines. So I found a smoking gun that in all of the 2,000 years have either the elites have known this or have hid this, that they go back to the Colonialist family. So we were able to debunk that they are bloodline legitimate. I was supposed to do a presentation about the Sephardic individuals because there's only two main sects in the world, the Ashkenazim and the Sephardim. I was supposed to do a presentation debunking the Sephardim. And I literally was procrastinating and delaying. And then a brother got me this book. And wouldn't you know, this is just a spoiler alert. In this book, it actually exposes the Sephardim and how they're not flesh and blood substantiated, to go back to the patriarchs of the chosen people. You guys like that verbiage and word selection? And we got to talk like this today. So I'm also going to use this presentation in disqualifying the other large sect of them as well. So you got to praise the Most High for this. Now, let's go to the next slide here. Because yes, we believe, to the people who are new to this channel, that the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are in fact by bloodline Israelites, true Israelites, children of God, descended from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We're not the names that they placed on us: black, brown, Latin names, Spanish names, Negro. No, our ethnicity, nationality, race would be that of an ancient Israelite. And so, of course, the indigenous people here would associate them with the devil and Satan because they understood the Bible. You understand that? And there's also historical sources and documents that show the Southern Kingdom Israelites came over here too after post-Christ and were diffusing with our brothers from the Northern Kingdom here in the Americas. You understand that? So read this, Assad.
Revelation 2:9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but you are rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. And then goes on. So notice, everybody, and this is going to be a reoccurring theme throughout this video. The real Israelites, according to the Messiah, would be going through tribulation, would be impoverished, but we would be spiritually rich. And that there be a group of people that say they are the Israelites, but are lying. And it's a horrible lie. It's a blasphemous lie. The very next chapter, it's reiterated. Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews, and they're not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before your feet, and to know that I have loved you. This is what the Messiah said.
So, bingo. That's why they associated. But why? Not only that, not only because they understood the Bible, but why else? What are other reasons that they would associate them with the devil? Now, if we're being blunt and looking at historically, especially in the New World JEWRY time frame, the indigenous peoples of South America weren't forming that association out of nowhere. Many Jews who came to the New World during the colonial period were conversos who had converted to Catholicism, sometimes voluntarily, often under pressure, and were part of the Spanish and Portuguese colonial system, i.e., captivity to Negroes and Latinos. So the indigenous people understood, yes, some of them are converts who are now can't be distinguished between them and a Spanish or a Portugal person. But also there were professing Jewish people who they experienced, and we're going to get this in the other slides, who had, Hassad, can I say it? Let me say it. Even though Hassad found this in the book, I got to say it. They had a plantation in South America bigger than the country of Portugal. You think I'm goddamn lying?
Yeah.
The books, we gonna get that excerpt.
Yeah, you guys are going to buckle up.
You're gonna want to buckle up. The Jewish people had a plantation in South America bigger than the country of Portugal. And so this is why the indigenous people said, when you say you're that, we look for the horns of the devil.
Yep.
So here's the raw truth historians have noted. 1, participation in the colonial economy. This is why they're associating them with the devil. Captivity trading, plantation owners, resource exploitation, just like the other European colonists. This includes both, it says African, but we're dealing with Negroes, slavery, and forced labor of the indigenous peoples as well. They're going to show you that on that plantation, that same plantation that was bigger than Portugal, they had indigenous people and us there. The small hats did that. The Jewish people had that. Role in colonial administration. Certain Jewish people and conversos held positions in colonial governments, tax farming, and trade monopolies that directly impacted native communities. Number 3, religious hypocrisy. Wow. From the indigenous perspective, these settlers often preached Christianity and also Judaism. They were still exploiting the population for labor, land, and profit. That contradiction could easily breed resentment. That's an understatement. Go ahead.
Linked to European oppression. Since Jews in the New World were part of the same elite colonial class as Spanish and Portuguese Catholics, indigenous people didn't necessarily differentiate. They saw all colonizers as agents of conquest, suffering, and sometimes outright demonic cruelty. And they say, oh, well, you know, you're Jewish, so it's not the same. No, because they're both whipping them with the same whip. They're both enslaving them on their own land. There's both things are going on. One just thinks Jesus is God, and the other, you know, wears a small hat on his head. They're the same slave master, though. Over time, brutal treatment, forced conversions, land seizure, and economic exploitation fed the idea that these people were not just foreign, but spiritually evil. Think about this. Why aren't there any texts? Why is there no documentation of the indigenous people looking at Black people as if when we came over here that we were devils and we were just these monsters and horrendous creatures? It's because of the treatment between us and them and us. It says, in a world where religion and morality were intertwined, being seen as an exploiter or slave owner could earn you the devil label. I think that's a fair label to put on somebody. Right. Whether you were Catholic, converso, or anything else.
Right.
Yes, converso means convert. Yes.
Now, to be technical, they're saying that these are Jewish people who were converted to Catholicism. All right. So now the books link. Here we go. We got a couple more pages. Watch this. The books link between Sephardic Jewish people and usury. Usury is not fun, guys. Usury supports the historical reason why they were also associated with the devil. In Christian Europe and colonial thought, money lending at interest was seen as sinful and corrupt, because the Bible says, with one another, with a fellow Israelite, you can't commit usury, but with somebody else, you can commit usury. So, for example, everybody, if I believe Tribe Called Quest, all praise to the Most High, the water for the super chat donation. Greatly appreciate you for supporting the ministry. So if I believe I'm a Hebrew Israelite, a Jew, right? I could go to somebody who's not, and I can say, hey, do you want me to loan you $500? And then they'll say yes. And then I'll say, all right, I'm going to loan you $500 at an interest rate of 70%. Now, what this does is it cripples you economically because you'll always be paying it back. Therefore, it's a form of oppression. That's what usury is. And so what they did was, because they believe that they are Israelites, they took that Torah law, but absolutely abused it and made 1000% rates. Somebody said, where's the script? Bring that out from me. I think it's Deuteronomy 23 and 20.
Yeah, it's Deuteronomy 23. This is Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 20, so verse 19. It says, "Thou shalt not lend upon usury to your brother, usury of money, usury of victuals, usury of anything that is lent upon usury. Unto a stranger you may lend upon usury, but unto your brother you shall not lend upon usury."
Right. So if I was to do that, then it would be okay. But the fact that these guys are imposters who are not registered on the roster, they're out of pocket, and plus they're abusing that law anyway. I don't see any historical or internal biblical historicity to say that we, the true Israelites, were laying absolutely burdensome taxes on Gentiles. I just don't see it. Could we get some extra bread off of what we loaned? Of course. But what they did was did it to the point to where it oppresses you and you're not able to even pay it back. Much like their counterpart white men or white countries do today. Right?
Them, yeah.
So it says, so it was seen as a sin. Why? Because it's a form of oppression if you overdo it. So those who practice it were often demonized. Since Jewish people were heavily involved in lending due to the legal and economic restrictions on Christians. Wait a second. How in the world, Hassad, if the Bible says the true Israelites, God's chosen people, would be under curses and at the bottom and in poverty, why are they the world lenders even in this time period right now?
Yeah, it's for hundreds of years, everybody. With
to this day.
And to this day.
You wanted to say something? Go ahead.
No, I got some stuff I'm gonna go into in my slides.
Okay, so it says this role fed long-standing stereotypes, portraying them as morally evil or in league with Satan. So on page 12, if you guys are reading along, again, if you're just joining in, we have the free PDF to this presentation in the description box. You can get it now and read along with us, or get it after and have it. Who knows what they'll do? Like Inspector Gadget said, in 20 minutes, this video could self-destruct. So on page 12 and page 13, I'm going to read the very last paragraph on page 12, and it's going to go into 13. It says, usury was a term for money lending. You know what? Let me start up top. I'm going to start up top, right? Like in the middle of page 12. There are differences between the Ashkenazim and the Sephardim. It says, in the observances of their faith and in their mores. These, however, are less significant than the disparities between groups in their value systems and psyches of their members. There are several subgroups in each of the major divisions. The extended family had and still has greater importance to the Sephardim than to the Ashkenazim. This kinship was important in the development and conduct of international trade. What the hell do you guys think they're trading internationally here? Yeah. During the epitome of our captivity?
Yeah. And someone, well, you know, there's other things like sugarcane and coffee. Okay, well, how do you get sugarcane and coffee and all those various things? You get it through plantations.
Labor. You get it through labor.
Yeah.
Right. And it says, of the 15th century to the 17th century, prior to the rise of Protestantism and capitalism in the mid-17th century. Although Werner Sombart has exaggerated the importance of the Jewish people in the development of modern capitalism. So this is the author saying that somebody is trying to say that we had more to do with capitalism than we actually had. So he's downplaying his peers and other historians and scholars who say that they had a major role in capitalism, which is a fact. It says, it is true that the extension of credit and bills of exchange were introduced by Sephardi Jewish people. What does that mean? Credit. Messing up your credit, borrowing from credit, all of that came from them. But how did they get in a position to have that money? It was by free labor, free captive labor. I don't like saying the Slavic word. I should say Slavic. Free Slavic labor. No, I can't say that. But it was us. That's how they got in a position to even be able to be the first people group on the earth who come up with a credit system. You understand that? They're the reason that all you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans have damn 518 on your credit score when you go to Credit Karma. It says the Lombards and other Christian usurers followed the Jewish people. So even the Christian usurers, they followed what the Jewish people were doing. Usury was the term for money lending at any rate of interest. I'm going to say that again slowly for you guys. This is how you cripple a country. This is how France crippled Haiti. Usury is how you cripple an economy, you cripple a country, you cripple an individual. And this is what they did so that they can now, how many football and basketball teams do they own, Hassad?
They own a quarter of the teams in the NFL.
A quarter, and what's their population of the earth?
0.2%.
0.2%, but they're the 1% when it.
Listen, you guys, they're 0.2% of the world's population, but they're 25%. So what is that? Over, I mean, we're talking about like a 10,000% overrepresentation in NFL ownership.
Okay, so watch this, right? It says, so you get the interest at any rate, including the legal rate. So the legal rate back then, I did a little research. I think it was like 20%. I could be wrong, whatever. But the point is that they believed in usury, which is lending money at any rate of interest. Oh, you want to borrow $100? All right, you got to pay me back $1,000. And you got to do it in 70 days. If you don't do it in 70 days, guess what I can do? Your house, your car, and your own body. You have to work it off for me. This is another way that they were inducting or amassing captives. It says, the Roman Catholic Church forbade lending money even at the rate permitted by the rulers. So now you have the Catholic Church fighting with the Jewish people. And this, my friends, is why you see this woman getting burned at the stake on the cover. Because the Catholic Church, we're going to get to this. This is just a little spoiler alert. The Catholic Church was saying, like most of the countries were saying, I see somebody just put in the chat, they were kicked out of 109 countries. Now, a lot of these reasons were for usury, for sacred blood, rituals, crazy stuff. But right here, you see, all right, the Catholic Church is saying, if they don't want to stop doing this, and there's more, we're going to get to it. But if they don't want to stop doing this in particular, we're going to arrest them, kick them out, burn them at the stake, and perform the Halloween cost on them. You got to say that word, Halloween cost. We can't say the other word, Halloween cost. Right? Oh, you guys are going to lose your mind when we get to that part of the book. Now, it says, it's unfortunate that usurer, look at this guy who's a Jewish person writing this. He's the author. It's unfortunate that usurer is still applied to Jewish people in the Middle Ages who loan money at the legal rate and to whom the monasteries and prelates of the church came for funds. It's because they took it further than inside joke, but they took it too far to where it started to cripple the economies of wherever they went. Oh, We're rich Jewish people over here in the Netherlands. We're rich Jewish people over here in Germany. We're rich Jewish people over here in Spain. We're rich Jewish people over here and over there. And guess what? You guys need money? Your military? We got you. Oh, Christian church, you need money. We got you. Guess what? 1,000% interest rate. Okay, we really need it right now. We're going to take it. Now, what they can do is cripple your country, cripple your economy, and take your land. Yeah. This is one of the main reasons why they can say they were getting booted out these countries. Not because people said, oh, I just don't like them because they claim to be the J word. I just don't like them because they wear side curls. I just don't like them because they wear zeeks.
Yeah, you got to think, like, could you imagine if you had a child that got kicked out of 109 schools? At some point, you got to be like, okay, well, wait a minute. Maybe I am the problem. You know what I mean? You got to expel for 109 schools. And the parents, well, I don't know what's going on. This is just, they were so mean to my son.
Okay, go ahead. You can get this one.
All right. So on page 11, the book tries to falsely claim that the Jews are not a race in the sense of a bloodline lineage.
Why? Somebody put in the chat. Because I know you guys are smarter than Christians. And I'm sorry, I love my Christians. I know you guys are here because the video did 2 million views. And I sent it to white people personally who were inboxing me. So I know you guys are here. I got love for you Christians, man. You know, I'm gonna be nice today. But you guys are not smart. Israelites are smart. Now you're gonna see, I'm asking this Israelite, predominantly Israelite chat, why would the book try to say that the people that are claiming to be the Jewish people are not a race? Come on, y'all. Don't make these Christians laugh at me. Come on, y'all. There you go. Bow. It's that simple. It's that simple. Because they can't prove legitimacy. So therefore they have to say to be Jewish is a religion, not a race. Not even a bloodline heritage. You understand that? Just convenient. Just absolutely convenient. Right? You can read the next one too.
So I'll zoom in. It says
do it at yeah, you can read the whole thing. It should be quick.
All right. It says the identification of the Jews as an ethnic group or race has been discussed by anthropologists and ethnologists for over a century.
Now, why do you need 100 years to figure out if a people are a part of a race or a bloodline?
People are a people.
Yeah, people are people. Like that that alone, Hassad, should tell you something is very spurious with these people. Yeah. Go ahead.
It says the peoplehood of the Jews is undeniable. Their status as an ethnic group is clear since they possess a religion that outlines the daily routines of life, a history, nationalistic beliefs, a culture, indigenous customs, interesting, a language, Hebrew, and a pattern of behavior that has been socially transmitted for millennia.
Now, Hassad, again, like I said, this is a scholarly academic book, but everything ain't 100. Mm-hmm. This man don't even know the actual technical definition of ethnicity.
Yeah.
That's sharing in common ancestors. He didn't list that there.
Yeah.
That's still being discussed for centuries, he said.
He says they are not a race. They are a religio-ethnic group. There are subgroups within the major group that have secular traits held in common with non-Jewish surrounding ethnic groups. Iberian Sephardic Jews are indistinguishable from their Iberian Christian neighbors. Only the activities involved in the practice of religion identify them as Jews. The differences or divisions among the Jews result from the differences in place of national origin, family traditions, folklore, and subgroup history.
That's it on that. Now watch this, y'all. Let's bring it home. What is the reason? Why is this important? Somebody in the chat said earlier, everything in this is important. It tells you about the world order that they tried to do so many times and that they're going to try to do in the end times. World order, old, new, mid, world order. It's telling you who we are, who they aren't, and why key figures in history did what they did. Now, why is this important? In the New World Jewry, the author emphasizes the idea that the Jewish people are not a distinct race, but rather a religious community. This framing serves to legitimize the status of converts.
Yep.
Particularly conversos, by placing them on equal footing with born Jews in terms of identity. But here's the thing, you cannot, if I practice Hinduism, I'm not East Indian. If I practice Buddhism, I'm not Chinese. If I practice sticking my head up a cow's behind like those Hamites do in South Africa, that doesn't make me South African. It says, by detaching Israelites from bloodline and making it purely about faith, the narrative can present converted Europeans as fully Jewish, regardless of their ancestry. This is why it's illegal to take a DNA test in Israel. Man, what are we talking about? If it's 2025, if you don't know who the hell they are and who you are, you can go to South Africa and stick your head up that cow's ass. Go ahead, brother.
So
this is some of the verses proving that Israelites are in fact a race in the sense of ethnicity.
Yeah. So Genesis 17:7, it says, and I will establish my covenant between me and you and your offspring after you throughout their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be God to you and to your offspring after you. Here, offspring, zerah is the Hebrew word meaning seed, shows the covenant is hereditary, passed through bloodline from Abraham to his descendants. Mm-hmm. Even when you look at the etymology of the word race, it comes from the word raza, and it means people who descend from a common ancestor. So the Israelites, by definition, are a race. It says, Genesis 21:12, through Isaac shall your offspring be named. It doesn't say through anyone who believes in Jesus shall your offspring be named. That's not what it says. It doesn't say anyone who receives a Brit Milah or whatever the hell that is.
Maybe we shouldn't say that. But all we know is that they take their soup coolers and they put it on a baby's they take their soup coolers and they put them on a baby's private parts and give them a circumcision. You know what I mean? That's all we can say, but that's a fact. It's in the Talmud. I got it right here. Go ahead, brother.
It says Psalm 106, Psalm 105 and 6. It says, oh, offspring of Abraham. I'm sorry, hold on, give me a second. I never heard of it. Cooler. Hold on, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. Hold on, y'all. Let me get it out.
No, get it out. But listen, according to, like Hassad said, race and zerah is the same thing. Now, I know a lot of you guys are going to say this. I meant to say this before I passed it to Hassad. We know that race is a modern social construct. I'm just basically saying it as a colloquial term. What the concept of race is being drawn from in its truest sense is ethnicity. And the technical definition of that is descendants who have common ancestors. That's bloodline lineage. So the Bible says that's what the Israelites are, but the book is saying that's what the Israelites are not. Why? Of course, because they want to have the blessings of Abraham and be legitimate without being bloodline. Go ahead.
So Psalm 105 and 6, O offspring of Abraham, his servant, children of Jacob, his chosen ones. Israel is directly called the physical descendants of Abraham and Jacob, chosen as a family line. Isaiah 45 and 25. In the Lord, all the offspring of Israel shall be justified and shall glory. The promise applies to the offspring of Israel, making it bloodline specific, not open-ended to converts from all nations. We do see nations amongst the Israelites, And guess what? They are not called Israelites. If a cat has kittens in an oven, do you call them biscuits? No. So it doesn't matter. It matters who you come from, not what you practice.
That was it on that?
Yep.
Okay, so let's keep going. Number 5. Oh, this is just some more. When you deal with the ESV, you see the English Standard Version. No. That's right here. So Romans 9:7 says, not all are children of Abraham because they are his offsprings, but through Isaac shall your offspring be named. Paul affirms the covenant seed line. So they can't say that, oh, we get the land. And here's the thing, too, because I know a lot of you guys are wondering how this actually relates to the war going on in Gaza with them. The Palestinians believe that they have a right to the land, while the Jewish people over there believe that they have a right to the land. So this book talks about that as well. And the reason why there will always be conflict, controversy, and hostility dealing with that geographical location over there, because these converts believe that we inherit the blessings of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which a major part of those blessings is the land of Israel. But the problem is if you're not of that seed line and offspring, then you do not have right to that land. This is why they try so hard to make conversos legitimate. All right. So Paul says in the covenant seed line, stressing that it's traced through Isaac, not through if you get circumcised or convert or faith or religion. You understand that? Now, here are a few verses in the ESV where it says Israel is described as a race, right? So it says in Ezra 9:2, for they have taken some of their daughters to be wives for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy race is mixed. The holy race is mixed because they were mixing, procreating with non-Israelites. It says the holy race is mixed. Then you read Acts 7:19, where Stephen is recapping what happened to us in Egypt. He says he dealt shrewdly with our race and forced our fathers to expose their infants so that they would not be kept alive when they were trying to basically abort Israelite babies. Then it says in 1 Peter 2:9, but you are a chosen race. That's overkill. That's overkill. To be an Israelite, a Jew, is a racially ethnic thing. Okay. Now go ahead. You can get the next two.
So the Ashkenazim were proven to be converts. We did, priests is notorious for going into the Colonialist family and the origins of where Ashkenazi Jewry comes from, right? So this proves that the Sephardim also are converts.
Right. Now, if you guys want to see that, just go look up my video. Maybe I'll put it in the description box. How Jewish people, how the Jews, I spelled it correctly, but I'm gonna say it different here. How the Jews became white, debunking Ashkenazim. I go into how they even came about in the world. Now, this book is basically exposing their counterparts as well. Right? Let's keep going.
This next page is one of the most important pieces of false evidence Sephardim used to claim legitimacy.
Oh, this is good right here. Let me get this next slide. So this next piece of evidence, y'all, all right? I hope you guys are listening and taking notes, because you can meet an Ashkenazim and you can hit them with some heat. But how would you deal with a Sephardim? Now watch this, y'all. Let's get the chat involved. Who knows, and the book is going to reveal this, who knows where the Sephardim goes in the Bible to claim their legitimacy? Let's see if we got some up-and-coming scholars in here, Hassad. Who knows where the Sephardim go in the Tanakh to prove their legitimacy? Let's see if we got some scholars in here. We got over 500 people. Somebody better come on, y'all. Sister Paulette, greatly appreciate you for the super chat donation. Ooh, we got him. And look at it. Obadiah 1. Hey, Hitchens, what camp you with? You need to get on the big G side. It's not a lot of people who know this, man. Hey, what camp you with and what hand you roll up with? What hand you roll up with? Yeah, it's Obadiah 1, y'all. So watch this. We're about to absolutely annihilate that right now through the spirit and power of the Most High God. Watch this. So this is going to be page 12. Page 12. It's 12. And then it's... Okay, there we go. Yep. So let's read the end of 11. We're going to read the end of 11. I'll break this down aside. You got the next slide. And it just further expounds on this particular topic right here.
Part where it says Jews are divided.
Hitchens is Ronan. Somebody said Hitchens is Ronan.
That's what Hitchens said. Hitchens says he's Ronan.
Get the hell out of here.
So do you want me to go and just read from Jews are divided into?
Yeah, go ahead. And then I'm gonna tell you when to stop so we could land our plane.
Okay. Jews, or the Israelis, are divided into two principal groups, Sephardim and Ashkenazim. The former inhabited the Iberian Peninsula, and the latter...
So the Sephardim, they're over there in the Iberian Peninsula, right? Go ahead.
And the latter, Eastern Europe.
Right. So now the Ashkenazim, you can't even tell the difference if they're Germans or not. They look just like them.
Right.
Right. Keep going.
Eastern Europe, parts of Germany, and northern France.
Uh-huh.
Communities of both groups were to be found in other places, but these communities were only fragments of their groups.
Uh-huh.
There are legends that the Sephardim inhabited the Iberian...
Wait. There are what?
There are legends.
You guys hear that? Legends. Don't let these people try to make this claim and say it's actual and factual. There are legends. They have to try to present legendary sources, hearsay, oral tradition, because they cannot validate. Watch this. Keep going.
It says there are legends that the Sephardim inhabited the Iberian Peninsula during biblical times.
During biblical times. So don't ever let them say, yeah, we've been in Spain since biblical times. Don't ever let them say that. Why? Because this scholarly work we're reading now says it's legend. You understand that? And I'm going to show you guys another thing. Keep reading.
Unquestionably, they were there at least from 70 CE when Titus exiled 50,000 Jews from Judea to Sepharod, the biblical name for what is now Spain.
Wow. Read that again one more time.
He
said unquestionably. Go ahead.
Unquestionably, they were there at least from 70 CE when Titus exiled 50,000 Jews from Judea to Sepharod.
Now, there is no historical source or even biblical verse that says the Israelites were exiled by Titus to Spain. You can't find one. So, although this is an academic scholarly book, it's not 100. That cannot be substantiated whatsoever. Now, look what it says. It says that they were exiled. Some Israelites were exiled to Sepharod, and they're saying that this is the biblical name for what is now Spain. Okay, let's see if this could be proven. Let's see if this could be proven. Problem one. You wanted to go ahead?
Yeah, I can. It says no historical sources show Titus expelling 50,000 Jews to Spain. Not one. Problem two. The claim that Sepharod in Obadiah 1 and 20 refers to Spain has been used in Jewish tradition. That's what they've tried to say, especially from the medieval period onward, to give Iberian Jews a direct biblical anchor. See, Sephardic Jews, Sepharad, that's Spain. Implying their ancestry goes back to exiles from Jerusalem in antiquity. By identifying Spain with Sepharad, the connection to the Bible strengthens the perception that Jews living there were not later converts, but bloodline Israelites from the time of the prophets. There's a problem, though. There's a problem with that. However, scholars and historical sources note that this identification is late and uncertain. In antiquity, there is no record of Jews equating Sepharod with Spain.
Antiquity, there's none. Keep going.
Some early sources, including the Septuagint and rabbinic discussions, place it in Asia Minor.
Right. So this isn't the smoking gun. This is the smoking gun for us to disqualify them. This is not the smoking gun for them to validate themselves. This is not a home. This is actually a home run for us because we have more sources saying that it's somewhere different and uncertain. Keep going.
It says, especially Sardis, not Iberia. The Targum Jonathan, which is from the 3rd to 5th century AD, may be the earliest to render Sepharad as Aspamia, possibly meaning Hispania, but this is centuries after Obadiah.
Now, this is the only shred of evidence that they have to try to correlate Spain with Sepharad from Obadiah 1 and 20. But Targum Jonathan says that Espamia possibly, scholars are saying that it possibly means Hispania. Keep going.
Modern historians consider the Spain, which equals Sepharad link, a medieval interpretive tradition, not a proven historical location. Thus, the biblical connection to Spain is interpretive and symbolic, not a geographically verifiable fact from the time of Obadiah.
That's it. That's all they got is, yeah, see, the Bible says there will be some Israelites in Sepharad. Oh, and Sepharad means Spain. So that's us. No, it doesn't, because scholars actually don't say that. There is one speculatory interpretive source in the Targum. You're done. Now, let's take a look at James Strong's. James Strong says Sepharad is a place where Israelites were exiled, site unknown. The Strong's definition, it says a foreign derivation, Sepharad, a region of Assyria. Then you have the prestigious Jacinius Hebrew Chaldee lexicon. It says, of a country elsewhere unknown, where exiles of Israel were carried away, according to the Vulgate, according to the Syriac, and the Hebrew writers, Spain. Somebody said the Vulgate, the Syriac, and the Hebrew writers believe it was Spain, which is clearly incorrect. Others suppose Sephirah, but this apparently would be rather a whole different Hebrew word. So even according to the prestigious Jacinius Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, it says it's clearly incorrect to associate Sepharad with Spain. Put them big G's in it. If you guys are still here and you're still awake, if you didn't have to get coffee, who is this guy? Sure, I'll debate Deacon or Hassad if they can prove they are Israelites according to the Bible. What are you talking about?
That's
Tony the Tiger.
That's the fat white guy, Ryan, I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you the fat white guy, Ryan Apologetics? The guy who looks like an absolute piece of melted pink plastic sitting on the couch? Okay, so let's keep going. Put a big G in the chat though if you guys are walking with us. Put a big G in the chat if you guys are walking with us, or if you want us to slow it down. Or are we on a cool pace right now? Speed it up, slow it down, stay at this pace. Let us know. Give us some good feedback, y'all. And look, Hassad, this is just my portion. I think we did half and half this time. Usually Hassad makes me do the whole presentation. He got it in on this one. Oh, he's the Ryan. Ryan, listen, man, you look like an absolute piece of melted Chucky doll. You look like a melted Chucky doll. Moderators, block him. All right. Now, let's keep going, y'all. All praises. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you get the next few.
So why would Jews from Spain call it the Fatherland if they knew they were descendants of Israel? This is how we know that, again, this is another dagger illustrating that that they don't have a valid claim to Israel.
Salakia.
If Sephardic Jews called Spain their fatherland, it shows they were identifying a European country, not ancient Israel as their ancestral home. This undermines the claim of being direct bloodline Israelites from the land of Israel because it reflects deep generational roots, cultural identity, and national loyalty tied to Spain, not Israel, to Spain itself rather than descent from biblical Israel. And then we have the citation from the book
right here. This is going to be page 13. Read from
Judaism.
Yeah, there you go.
Judaism has no dogma except the belief in the unity of God. The belief that the Messiah has not arrived and is yet to come is one of the reasons for its survival. This messianic conviction includes denial of the messiahship of Jesus. Messianism sustains the Jews in their determination to remain within the faith. Lacking such conviction, they would have apostatized. While all peoples are a constellation of complexities, there is a facet of the complex psyche of Iberian Sephardim that is noteworthy. The Spanish Jew was loyal to the language and culture of his native land, even after his expulsion. He also remained true to his faith. Americo Castro wrote, "The Jews expelled from their fatherland, that is, Spain, in 1492 felt themselves as Spanish as the Christians."
Wow. So this is what you have: conflicting sources. Well, some Sephardim say, yeah, we go back all the way from Obadiah 1 and 20, Sepharod, which was debunked. Then you have some Sephardim saying Spain is our fatherland, our nativity. So now we got a problem. You understand? Listen, Tommy Gunn,
that's him
you
again.
have to. That's him again in the same.
Yes.
Listen, go debate. Listen, some Israelites will debate you, just not us, bro. You're not. Get your weight up.
Go step on a scale and go debate it.
And go debate a scale, right? Go ahead now. Okay, now. Here we go. I'll read this one. All right. So now, remember, at the beginning of the presentation, we told you guys about young Dolph, right? Let me see if I can get his. Let me see if I can pull him up here. I told you guys about young Dolph, right? Young Dolph Hister. We got to speak in code word. You know, the guy from the 40s who loved to bake things in the oven?
No. That
Jesus.
guy. I'm not gonna actually do it. I didn't actually do it. You guys,
no, you're good. You're good. I don't know. I just said something crazy. The guy who loved the cooking. No, I can't say that. You guys know what guy I'm talking about. So,
Cookie Monster. We can call him the Cookie Monster. He baked 6 million cookies. All right, that's what happened.
White macadamians. He baked 6 million white macadamians. Holy smokes. Man, they laugh. They're doing this to us to this day, so we get to laugh. And first of all, we had 200 million. Let's not play the game in comparisons. So on page 19, y'all, this is important. Young Adolf, his Nuremberg laws drew inspiration from Spain's medieval limpieza de sangre, purity of blood statutes, which were enforced by the Catholic Church to exclude Jewish people and their descendants from public life. So if the world is going to condemn Hister, young Adolf Hister, for his racial laws, then it should hold the church equally accountable, since its own exclusionary system provided the model centuries earlier. So let me just say that in Ebonics, in Hebronics. All Hister was doing was taking a page from the Catholic Church, who did the same thing to the Jewish people that Hister did to the Jewish people. So if you're gonna condemn him, you have to condemn that Christianity. You have to. What is it? Where does it say this in the book? Page 19. Let's get that. And here you have him and a pope. I don't know which pope this is, but This is young Adolf, my friends. Young Adolf. Now, here's a list of, before I read young Dolph's Nuremberg laws, I want to read the excerpt in the book. Now, watch this. This is from page 19. It says, as early as 1943 and as late as 1802, Spain issued decrees barring Jewish people and Moors. Now, remember, the Moors were a mixture of Israelites, who were a colored people, Hamites, a colored people, and Arabs, who were still a colored people. So, you Israelites out there, please do not say the Moors were monolithically one people group. They were three. This is proven with history, scholarly sources. So they were barred from the Spanish colonies. Descendants of those penanced by the Inquisition were specifically mentioned. Young Adolf Hitler used the Spanish rules of exclusion for his Nuremberg laws. That's what the book says. And so when I ask you Christians, you know, do you love everybody? No, they say you can get to heaven by only believing in, all you gotta do is believe in a white Jesus to get to heaven. This is what Christians say. And I say, well, Hitler did, young Dolph Hitler did. And then they say, well, no, he can't get to heaven. But I thought all you had to do is believe. He clearly was taking pages from the Christian church, utilizing it in his time, implementing it in his time. So according to Christianity, he should be, one, forgiven, and two, he should be in heaven. See how stupid that is?
Yeah, he should be in heaven, and the people that he deleted should be in hell.
That's true, because the book of John says if you don't believe in the Messiah, you are condemned already. Wow, that's a conundrum and catch-22 that the Christian church is in right now. Adolf should be in heaven, and the people he did that to should be burning forever for not believing in Jesus. Ain't that crazy? So it says the fact that the decrees were constantly reissued indicates that they were being ignored, and that their illegal presence of Jewish people was repeatedly revealed. Jewish people were present in the West Indies and undoubtedly aided the English and the Dutch in the capture of the. Did you have this, Hassan?
I don't think so.
Okay. So they were involved, all my island people, the West Indies of Dutch Commonwealth, the Jewish people linked up with the English and the Dutch to colonize the islands and continue to keep your behind in chains. So the point is, though, is that the book is saying that young Dolph Hitler, he took his Nuremberg laws from the Spanish Inquisition, the Holy Office, Catholic Church. Now, here's a list of some of his Nuremberg laws from 1935. And it says the law for protection of German blood and German honor forbade marriages between Jewish people and German citizens, prohibited extramarital relations between Jewish people and Germans. Jewish people could not employ German women under 45 as domestic workers. Display of German flags by Jewish people was forbidden. This is everything that the church was doing in Spain. Number two, the Reich citizenship laws define who was a citizen versus merely a subject of the Reich. Full citizenship was reserved for people of German or kindred blood. Jewish people were classified as subjects with limited rights. Number three, supplemental decrees to the Reich citizenship laws define Jewish people by ancestry. Anyone with 3 or more Jewish grandparents, or 2 if they practice Judaism or married a Jewish person. Applied the racial definitions to all aspects of public life, including professions, education, and political participation. And this is just some, but we see this same ideology in the Holy Office with the Inquisition in 1493. You got to be outraged at him and the Catholic Church, which is generally the Christian church. Why is it not going back to
full screen?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll just keep going. Go ahead.
All right. Page 36 says the Halloween cost was way before the hitter, right? Mr. Schickelgruber. So why does the world associate the Halloween cost to young Dolph? In Henry C. Leah's 1908 book, The Inquisition in the Spanish.
1 second.
I got it. Oh, I got it for the.
Okay, there we go.
I'm on 34 now.
Yep.
It says Spanish dependencies. He describes how between 1634 to 1639.
Let's read it first. It's going to be in the most people right there, right in the middle.
Yep. Most people.
Page 36.
I see it. Most people believe the word Halloween cost came into usage because of I can say the G word.
Yeah.
The genocidal assassination of 6 million, the genocidal baking of 6 million cookies by the Nazis because they were Jews. Henry C. Leah in the Inquisition in the Spanish Dependencies, 1908, page 4.
Now you can read the commentary.
Okay. So it says, he described how between 1634 to 1639 in Lima, which is in Peru, Jews caught by the Inquisition were brutally executed, burned alive, and called this a Halloween cost offered to God. Between 1634 and 1639, the Lima Inquisition arrested Jews, secret Jews, and conversos.
Right. So this scholar is saying he wrote a book 1908. He's talking about what happened in the 1630s. And he said that was a Halloween cost. But the whole world is associating the Halloween cost with young Adolf.
Yeah.
But like I told you guys, that word was applied to them 400 years darn near before this man even existed. And those ideologies that he subscribed to existed prior. He's all drawing from the church. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah, and everybody in the chat, you guys got to relax. All right, this is not a big upping of the regime with the swaths. With the you guys, we're not bigging up with the Germans.
He hated niggas too.
Yeah, so don't be in the chat. I see someone in the chat said W. Young Dolph, or like blessed. Someone said blessed be Mr. You know what I mean? No. All right. To hell with him too. We're just showing you where he got his motivation from. And again, we're not even justifying his motivation. We're just saying where he got his rationale. So it says they were executed by burning. The Inquisition viewed this as a religious sacrifice. Leah describes it ironically as a Halloween cost. In the old sense, a burnt offering presented to a savior of love and mercy, highlighting the hypocrisy of killing people in the name of a merciful God. The martyrs sealed in flame and torment. The Jews remained faithful to their ancient faith, Judaism, even in the face of torture and death. The mob had its spectacle, means public executions were treated like entertainment for the crowd. Right? So this is what happened. This is where the Halloween cost gets its origination from. But why did the Holy Office and the man with the evil mustache man, why did the evil mustache man want to wipe them all out? One, religious hostility. Catholic orthodoxy in Spain and Portugal after the Reconstruction saw Judaism as heresy and a threat to Christian unity. The Inquisition.
I think that's real quick though. I think that's very important for y'all that are watching and who are studious on history and the Bible. Why? Why did young Adolf and the Catholic Church want to wipe them all out? So we're just proving to you that it wasn't because they liked the Star of David. It wasn't because they liked side curls. It wasn't because they like unleavened bread. So the first one is religious hostility. And we already talked about one where they were committing usury, trying to cripple the economy. And that's what they would do, go around trying to cripple the economy because they had the money to fund the church and fund both sides of the war. So go ahead.
It says the Inquisition, Holy Office, was designed to root out anyone suspected of practicing Judaism in secret, crypto Jews or conversos. Many whites in the colonies viewed Jews as Christ killers, enemies of the faith, and cursed people. Inherited medieval anti-Jewish theology. Even converted Jews, new Christians, were never fully trusted. They were often accused of Judaizing, no matter how Catholic they outwardly appeared. Racial and purity of blood laws. Limpieza de sangre, purity of blood laws in Spain and its colonies, legally discriminated against anyone with Jewish ancestry, even generations after conversion. White Spaniards saw themselves as old Christians, no Jewish or Muslim ancestry, and considered new Christians, converted Jews or Muslims, as racially inferior. This radicalized religion meant you could never outrun Jewish ancestry, and it became a permanent social stain. Economic competition. In many colonial cities, conversos were highly successful in trade, finance, and skilled profession. This success bred jealousy among white Catholic merchants who sometimes used the Inquisition to remove Jewish competitors by accusing them of heresy. In the Caribbean and Dutch British colonies, openly Jewish communities like in Curacao or Suriname dominated certain sectors like sugar, shipping, and trade. Oh, don't worry, we're getting ready to read about that. Again, sparking resentment from white competitors. Political suspicion. Spain and Portugal were Catholic empires, but Jews often had business ties with Protestant powers, Dutch, English, etc., that were rivals in the New World, rivals religiously. White officials feared Jewish merchants as possible spies, smugglers, or traitors aiding enemy nations. In Suriname, for example, Dutch authorities at times mistrusted the Jewish planter elite because of their transatlantic networks.
Oh, transatlantic network. So these are all the reasons why they wanted to get rid of all of them. Mm-hmm. Religious hostility, racial purity, economic competition, political suspicion, espionage, backstabbing, deceit. You understand? Now it's crazy because it says the transatlantic networks.
Yeah.
And we're going to transition right into their involvement in the captivity of the true Israelites.
Yep.
Which are the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. This is in their book that they're telling on themselves. Yep. This is why it's $3,000. Mm-hmm. And this is why if we continue to say, like somebody said an hour and a half ago, why does this matter? You're the reason why it costs $3,000. Really, they should charge $3 because you don't give a damn anyway. But they understand that there's the prophets that are waking up to who they are, the Israelites that are waking up who they are, who want to invest time, energy, and resources to prove and to know what's going on. You understand? So go ahead.
So Jewish involvement in captivity, more specifically the transatlantic you-know-what trade. Despite what we have been led to believe, a large number of Jews were involved in not only the funding of the slave trade. Oh, said the word, my bad. The funding of our captivity, but also in the transportation and ownership of captives on plantations, us. On page 61 of this book, quote, being a tradesman was the major economic role of the Jews during the colonial period. Peruvian Jews had more diversified economic activities. What are some of these diverse economic activities they had? Like, what was it when they say diversify your bonds? What are the bonds that they diversified? They ranged from peddlers.
Hold on, real quick. Now, he said there are many sources that say the Sephardic Jews in Spain were black. They were kicked out of Spain and sent to West Africa. Okay, so here's the problem, sir. The problem is that there are sources and then there are scholarly sources. I'm a source. I'm a source of information. But is it true information, disinformation, or misinformation? If you're trying to say that the majority group, yes, black people were everywhere, right? We understand the diaspora, But if you're saying that the Sephardic Jews that were in power that got kicked out and then went to the West to be the largest plantation holders and world power in economics, and the people who the church and other countries were coming to were funding and for lending, I'm sorry, the ones that were lending to others was us, you're out of your mind, my boy.
Yeah. So
you got that from Instagram, not even Instagram. He got it from Instagram.
It says they range from peddlers to great merchants. There were asentistas. What are those? Slave contractors or brokers who brought Negroes from Africa and participated in the purchase and sale of the slaves. This is our people. This is what they did. So they were involved in every facet of the transatlantic captivity of our people. On page 188, it says in May 1667, an inventory was made of the area of Suriname known as Thorica, which consisted of 9 plantations for raising sugarcane with 233 captives, 55 sugar kettles, 106 head of cattle, and 28 men, plus an additional 6 plantations with 181 slaves, 39 sugar kettles, and 66 animals. Every single one, all of these plantations were owned by 18 Portuguese Jews. So in a particular, my bad.
The brother is saying that these are actually black people who owned the first plantations with black people. Stop, bro. You got to stop. And in this book, it tells you that these Sephardic. Let me hold on. Where is this at? Let me do this real quick. I can't even see us. Where are we at? We right here? Okay. Let me show you. Let me tell you something, sir. The book is so great and it's worth every penny of $3,000. Let me tell you why. It actually tells you that the Sephardic Jews look like their neighbors, the Europeans. It actually says there's no difference than the Sephardic people and their European neighbors outside of their practices and clothes that they wear. Proving to you that these Sephardim closely resemble Caucasians. You understand that? Just want to let you know, my boy. All right, let's go.
All right, so it says all these plantations were owned by 18 Portuguese Jews. In 1694, there were in this area 92 Sephardic and 12 Ashkenazi families. By 1730, Jews owned 115 plantations out of 400. Let's get to the next slide.
Con.
So they own, out of these 400 plantations in the country of Suriname, Jews owned 115 of them. Luke 21 and 24 in the Weymouth translation. It says, they will fall by the sword or be carried off into slavery among all the Gentiles. And Jerusalem will be trampled underfoot by the Gentiles until the appointed times of the Gentiles have expired. According to the words of the Messiah, the true Israelites would be enslaved all throughout the world, not the ones enslaving others.
Right. Like, come on, y'all. Like, all right. Like I said, there's many sources, but you have to also use your logic and common sense. If the prophecy states we would be the ones on the ships, nigga, not the one driving the ships, this book is telling you that the Sephardim was driving the ships.
Yeah.
Well, you were on the ship as a cargo, as a package.
Yeah. Deuteronomy.
Oh, my bad. Slocky.
No,
yes. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy 28 and 43 in the GWT. The standard of living for the foreigners who live among you will rise higher and higher, while your standard of living will sink lower and lower. Who does that sound like? Does that sound like them or does that sound like us? Because all throughout the world, there are communities of Jewish people, and they're not in deep poverty. They're some of the richest people in those countries. In the United States of America, there's like 100-something billionaires of Jewish origin. In Israel, it's the same. They are filthy rich all over the place. Let me tone it down a little bit. But us, no matter where we go, no matter where we are in DC, in LA, in Chicago, in Detroit, in Miami, in Charlotte, in Seattle, we live in the ghetto. We live in the ghetto everywhere we go. So they come amongst us all over the place. And they get, and not just them, but all other demographics of people, in particular them, get richer and richer and richer while we get poorer and poorer and poorer. The Bible also says foreigners amongst the true Israelites would rise above them and oppress them. Does this sound like the history of our people or what the Israelis have been going through? Surely doesn't sound like them. Sorry, doesn't sound like us. No, I had it right the first time. Doesn't sound like them. Sounds like us. All right, next slide. Baba Shah.
Yeah.
Listen, y'all, we're cooking with heat. Now watch this. Now let's look at their population. On page 4 and 5 of the book, it reads, Bruce Skolnick, for instance, commented about the lack of emphasis on Portugal, Portuguese expansion, and on early Brazilian history. He declared that most historians of Latin America, at least in the United States, know little about Portugal and Brazil, since the Jews were only a minority group in those places. So what he's saying is a lot of historians in the United States that are their specialty is Latin history. They know only a little about the Jewish history in Latin America because they're a minority in those places. And they're a minority all over the world. Like I have on the right, there's the demographics of Jewish people throughout the world. They have steadily remained about 0.2% of the population of the whole planet for a very long time. And it's estimated by 2050, they're still going to be 0.2% of the world's population. So what does this tell us? Despite their small numbers, the Jews in the New World held overwhelmingly disproportionate amounts of power. As cited in the previous slide, in the country of Suriname, they had control of nearly 30% of all plantations in the 18th century. And in certain municipalities, as we read earlier, all of them were owned by Jews. All of them were. It said that 18 in the particular area, started with a T, I can't really pronounce it, but it says all 18 of those plantations were owned by Sephardic Jews. Again, the Messiah, this is all while supposedly being under the curses of Deuteronomy 28 chapter, under the curses of God. That doesn't sound like curse to me. They're going around owning people. Let's keep going. Do I need to tone it down several notches, Deacon? Let me know, please.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. But I want to real quick. I want to because just in the chat, I want to bring a couple. It says not all the Jews that were in Spain and Portugal were black. The ones that died or got sent to Africa were the ones that were called Negroes. That obviously looked like Jews. Okay. Somebody says I'm not coming from. The Sephardic Jews were not in power. They were called Negroes and sent to West Africa. The people that remained in Spain after the exile were the white ones. Okay, so here's where you're going to get absolutely destroyed, my brother. Again, were we in all nations littered as minority and remnants? Yes. But the Spanish Inquisition, now...
Can I share my screen and just show something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, man. And I'm not even after this. I'm not addressing the chat anymore. If you want to stay dumb, stay dumb. Go ahead.
So look at this is on page 61, and look what it says. It says there were acentistas, slave contractors or brokers who brought Negroes from Africa and participated in the purchase and sale of the slaves. This is a transatlantic slave trade. Most acentitas were Dutch. The word, the N-word, the hard R, stems from the Dutch word nikker, which means black. What is this doing? It's juxtaposing black people, the slaves from the Dutch, the Sephardic, including the Sephardic Jews who enslaved them. You are done.
Now watch this. This is the book that I told you guys to get in the beginning. Paul Johnson is actually getting his information from a lot of New World Jewry, right? Now watch what Paul Johnson says in History of the Jews on page 249. On page 249, it says, that being said, so the Jews were well prepared to take advantage of the growth in the world economy. Now, either you're saying that the Jews from the Spanish Inquisition were black, they were the most powerful people in the world, because the same people from the Spanish Inquisition are the same ones that made the ships, are the same ones that financed Christopher Columbus to come here, are the same ones that came here and were the first large-scale plantation owners. What are you talking about? Like, oh, they just kicked out a couple black Jews and then they kept the white Jews there. No, the reason why they even started kicking out the Jews was because the Jews had power. The converts, the Jewish people, they had power. It was economic competition. So you say, so why did they kick out the who you believe to be the Negro Jews there? Why did they kick them out? And give me a source, not Instagram. Look what it says. It says, which marks the 16th century, indeed, in view of their exclusion from the Spanish Peninsula and their treatment in the Reformation and counter-Reformation Europe, they had no alternative but to push the diaspora further and to seek new outlets for their business skills. They already were major key players in the economy. And look what it says. To the west, Columbus's voyages were not the only ones which had a Jewish and Marrano background in finance and technology. Expelled Jews went to the Americas as the earliest traders. They set up factories in St. Thomas, for instance. They became the first large-scale plantation owners. Stay dumb.
You're done. All right,
Go ahead.
We can get to the next. Okay, here we go. We can go to the next one. Mm-hmm. So, Jewish plantations on page 140 to 141. You guys are not going to believe this. Put a G in the chat if you're locked in. I need y'all eyes and ears ready right now. Jewish plantations on page 140 to 141. Here's the quote. It says, sugarcane was introduced into Brazil, not only from Madeira, but also from the Canary Islands. And the Jews may have played a part in this matter, since there were Jewish planters on these islands at the time. Although the majority of the Jews resided in the urban areas, meaning the city, the Inquisition records of the 18th century disclose a large number of persons of real or alleged Jewish origin in rural districts. The rural mean like the country. One explanation for this is that the original and early inhabitants became plantation owners. That's why if you drive outside of the city, that's when you start to notice the big fields and there's a big cornfield, or they have the cows on the side of the highways right outside the city. That's the rural area. Why do they have that? Because they were owning slaves on those farms. It says these plantations originally grew sugarcane, but later tobacco and cotton supplanted the sugar. The Inquisition officials would have found it difficult to arrest Jews on the plantations. Why would the Spanish find it hard to go and arrest some of these Jews on the plantations? What's one reason? Both because of their immense size. One was larger than Portugal itself. There was a Jew or a Jewish family that had a slave plantation in Brazil that was larger than a country.
Lord in Christ. And this nigga saying that those were black people.
Do you guys
black people? Nah, go ahead.
Yeah, I have some stuff to show you guys just how unbelievable that is. I got to show on the slide real quick. Right. Portugal is 35,580 square miles. That is roughly the size of the state of Indiana and a little smaller than the state of Virginia. That means there was this is just one Jewish-owned plantation that's larger than 12 U.S. states. For example, Rhode Island, I believe, someone can fact check me, is 1,000 square miles. That means it would be approximately 35 Rhode Islands as one slave plantation. Hawaii, for example, I think is about 6,000 or 7,000 square miles. So we're talking about almost 6 Hawaiis, every island. You know how unbelievable that is? All right, let's keep going. Let's put that into perspective for the United States. Next slide, please. So this is what it would look like in the United States as one plantation. Do you see how unreal that is?
Yeah, this isn't like just having 40 acres, my nigga. Right. Like we all want 40 acres. How many acres was that?
Well, it's 36,000 square miles. So how many acres in?
Yeah, how many acres is that? Niggas want 40 acres in the white broad, but this is real acres.
Square miles. Let's take a look. Oh, what is that number? Hold on. 1, 10, 100,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million. That's not way. Is that 23,400,000 acres? 23 million acres. They had a slave plantation that was 23 million acres large. You know how unbelievable that is?
Let's see. Let me just fact check that. How many acres?
Somebody says square acres. No, it's just acres. This is
Portugal.
36,000 square miles is 23 million acres.
Yeah, it's 22 million acres, almost 23 million. Oh my God. 23 million acres. 23 million acres.
So imagine,
you know how that feels. I can't wait. I can't wait till I get my piece of the pie, my piece of the earth.
Think about this, just in terms of length. That's basically, you can see it on the map. So it has the plantation from, basically it just puts it in Chicago. But imagine you had a plantation from Chicago all the way to St. Louis. How long does it take to drive from let's see, Chicago to St. Louis drive? It's about 4.5 hours. So, bro, imagine you're on that nigga probably didn't even get to see his whole plantation because there's no cars back then. Were you gonna go on a horse? You can't. He probably did. He had so much lands of black people and indigenous people enslaved.
No, are you there? Did you get to the part where it says that it was okay? Now, who do you think is working those 23 million acres?
Yeah, exactly. Them? Do you think it's what are some of their names? Give me a Yid name.
Do you think it's Schnickelberg? Oprenstein?
Right.
Or Yeesaw? Yisaw. Okay.
Let's keep going. So Jewish plantations, it says, I'm going to just read this real quick. So this is on page 145. It says the Sephardim were tax farmers, agriculturalists, and plantation owners. Notice he tried to slip that in last. Right. They were agriculturalists, farmers, we own slaves. It says the Ashkenazim participated in the commercial fields. So they also were helping with the Sephardim in this. 66 Christian merchants complained to the Estates General in 1641 that the Jews controlled the sugar trade and gave all the best positions to their newly arrived co-regionalists.
Now, doesn't it make sense, real quick, doesn't it make sense why all these countries, why they were kicked out of all these countries? Let's just be real.
Yeah.
This is what they do because they had the bread to do it.
Yeah.
Get up in there, grab everything. Now, we got it. You got to come to us for it. Okay, guess what? Get the hell out.
Bye. So it says, I.S. Riva wrote, let's create this bunch of Portuguese, right? It says, the new Christians constitute the base of the Portuguese merchant class, and their economic importance is equally great in Brazil. Reva then quoted from a letter sent in 1645 by Martin Source to King John IV, stating that the Jews will be the masters of the most and the best positions in the capitanas, which the captains, I believe. The grants of lands that had been made originally to the donatarios, who had economic and political privileges as well as responsibilities. Jews owned some of the best plantations in the river valley of Pernambuco, which is in Brazil. Owners of sugar plantations and mills were known as Sambores de Engembo. Jews were also among the leading slaveholders and slave traders. Hey, guess what, everyone? A Yid wrote this. So if I'm a horrible person for reading it, how much worse is he for writing it?
Good point.
They own some of the. How do you determine if a plantation is the highest quality, the best? They're getting the most resources out of it. How do you get the most resources out of your slaves? Probably by being very harsh towards them and beating the hell out of them.
Wow. Talk about it.
Let's keep going. My bad. So the Jews had so much control of the sugar and slave trade that 66 Christians in this region had to complain to the general about all the power that they had. It then says they were among the leading slaveholders and slave traders. They're doing all of this while supposedly being under the curses from God and being an ethnic minority in the region.
That's power. That's absolute power.
What are we talking about here? They're supposed to be in captivity themselves. So while supposed to be under captivity, you have another people in captivity while being the ethnic minority. So much so that the ethnic majority, the rest of the white people, are like, God damn, man, these people have so much power. What we have some?
That's why the Bible says, oh my God, Amalek is the first of the nations.
Yeah.
Amalek is the first of the nations. Numbers chapter 24. I want to read this and give it back to you. He said he looked on Amalek and he said Amalek was the first of the nations, meaning according to end time prophecy, the Bible says Amalek, who would be a branch of the Edomites, would be the leading world powers in the end of days. And you can see this taking place starting with the 12th century to today.
Yep. Y'all got to make sure y'all like and share this video. All right. That's all we're asking. Like and share the video. We can go to the next one.
That's it. They might try to do something with this video.
Deuteronomy 28:29. It says, you will grope about in broad daylight like someone blind. This is the NLT. And you will not be able to find your way. You will not prosper in anything you do. Does it sound like they're not prospering in anything that they do? They're literally prospering in everything they do. They're the opposite of what the Bible says the real Israelites are supposed to be doing. It says, you will be constantly oppressed and robbed. Does that sound like constant oppression? They're oppressing others and robbing others. It says, and there will be no one to help you. In the 1940s, they did have, when they were going through their trials and tribulations under the evil mustache man in, these various camps, they had the world powers, the allied forces of the world. Three of those nations, the United States of America, the British and the French, at one point in time, they were each the most powerful empire the world has ever seen. The United States of America is the most powerful empire the world has ever seen. Before it, the British was the most powerful empire the world has ever seen. And at one point, the French were one of, if not the most powerful empire the world has ever seen. Those three coalitions, those three countries coalesced, came together and saved those people who wear the little hats. But the Bible says the real Israelites would have no one to help them. It says you will be engaged to a young woman, but someone else will marry her. What happened on them plantations? If the master wanted to go in and lay down with the slave's wife, there's nothing she could do. You will build a house, but never live in it. You will plant a vineyard, but never eat its grapes. Who does that sound like? That doesn't sound like them. That sounds like us. And that's not no bigotry. That's not no hate speech. That's just, at least it's an eyebrow raiser, At least it's that's interesting. But people will try to make us believe that we're stupid and hateful and monsters for just asking simple questions. Let's keep going. Transportation of slaves. On page 170, here's the quote. Jews were in almost every settlement stretching across the northern coast of South America, from Cartagena, that's Colombia, eastward to the Guianas. They came with ships carrying African blacks to be sold as slaves. They owned the ships. Does that mean they owned every ship? No, but they owned enough to where the author says they owned the ships. It says they came with ships carrying African blacks to be sold as slaves. The traffic in slaves was a royal monopoly. These niggas had a monopoly. Like, at the game when you own Boardwalk, and you own Virginia Avenue, and you own all the railroad stations, and you own all the electric. That's them. They had a royal monopoly. Like in poker, you got a flush, straight flush. Nigga, they had a royal flush. It says with a royal monopoly. And the Jews were often appointed as agents for the crown in their sale. The king. So they're supposed to be getting oppressed. The king, the royal crown, gave them a monopoly on the trade of our people. It says, when the king granted Pedro Gomez Renil, this is a Sephardic Yid, the exclusive right to import slaves into the colonies. Oh my God. They had a particular group of Sephardic people. They had the exclusive right to import slaves into the colonies. Not even other groups of white people could at this particular time by these, through this mechanism. This guy and his friends and cohorts, who were likely other Yids, had exclusive rights to import slaves into the colonies. The contracts contain a clause permitting Gomez to have on his ship 2 Portuguese who would be in charge of the sale of the Negroes and do anything else necessary among the people of the sea. The King of Portugal himself gave this Jewish guy the exclusive right to import black slaves. That's what we just read in this book, everyone. Now, does this mean go commit acts of, does this mean go walk outside and in the next, whatever their names, I can't even think of some of their names, Einstein that you see, Dingelberg that you see, does that mean to go upside his head? Absolutely not. But what this does mean that you should be aware. Every single one of us should, what is it? I think it's even Sun Tzu said, know thy enemy. We're not saying to go and punch them. We're not saying to go and hurt them. We're not saying to go berate them or do any acts of violence or hostility towards them. We are saying to know them. We are saying to understand them and understand your position in relation to them. It is that of a sheep and a wolf. Let's keep going.
Yeah, and we have to try, because we're such a godly people. We have to try to let your feelings subside and control your emotions when you realize what they've done, what they're doing, and what they're trying to do. Remember, this book is about New World Jewry, but it's really about the New World Order that they've been trying to complete and implement for centuries. You have to understand that.
Yep.
And the way they do it, and this is why, God, I wish you guys understood. This is why I keep a dagger close. I keep an obsidian dagger close and never trust, right? See, let me put this on the screen real quick. This is our problem right here. This is our problem. We just can never get it. That's why the Bible says we're like homeborn slaves. And this is why it's about to get worse with these next couple pages.
Yep.
The reason why, I want to say this, I'm going to give it right back to you. The reason why, remember we talked about, why did they want to wipe all of them out? Why did they want to wipe all of them out? And the reason is, Hassan just read over it too quickly. He really should have camped out there for a second.
My bad.
Even when they converted to the Catholic Church, they couldn't be trusted. Why? Because their conversions were deceitful conversions. They in their Talmud, it says Jesus Christ is boiling in hot poop.
Yep, so it says.
So they can't, the Catholic Church, the Holy Office, the Inquisition, knew that most of them were not truly and sincerely converting. So they were always paranoid about the conversos, saying they're just converting so they can usurp authority and infiltrate, which they did and do. How in the hell is Zelensky the president of Ukraine? He's Jewish.
How is the president of Mexico the president of Mexico, and she is Jewish? The richest Haitian is a Jewish billionaire. The richest Jamaican is a Jewish billionaire. How are we all? You know what? Here's what it is, everyone. You know what? We're wrong. Here's what it is. We're all stupid. Everyone else, every other demographic of people on the earth are just dumb. We're stupid, and these people are just so much more intellectually advanced than everybody that, you know, it's like they're playing chess, and we're playing checkers. And that's what it is. Maybe we suck. You know what I mean? Or maybe something else is going on.
That's it, bro. So it's just I wanted to harp on that point of why they were kicked out of hundreds of countries, why they wanted to wipe them out. This is the type of things they'll do. Get in there, infiltrate, say they're converted, usurp authority, take control of you and your people, period. Next point.
Yep. Transportation of the slaves. So here's oops, I forgot to put the page. You guys can find it out yourself. So it says,
hey, listen, Control F search.
Right. Here, I'll do it.
No, you don't have to. They can.
All right. It says the Brazilian economy was based on Negro slave labor used to produce the sugar and tobacco. Boom, straight from the gate. That's how they got their money. That's how they got their wealth. It says, as a result, used to produce sugar and tobacco. As a result of the slave labor from Africa, the only labor of the whites was to issue orders to the slaves. That's all they had to do. Pick that up, boy, or whatever they would say. It says, without whom Portuguese America was not viable, meaning there was no Portuguese, nothing without the implementation of slavery. The embarkation point for the slaves was Luanda, Africa. That's in West Africa. Luanda, I believe, is in Angola, where there were Jews who served as slave brokers. They had outposts and colonies in Africa. During the colonial period, which ended in 1822 with independence, Portugal continued to send Brazil its criminals, impoverished expatriates, and peasants from Vienna, Porto, and Lisbon. That's all in Portugal. They were shipped to Rio de Janeiro, Pernambuco, and Bahia. Bahia is like the blackest place in the Western Hemisphere. Some came from Beria, an old Jewish center, as well as several other Jewish centers in northern and central Portugal. Many immigrants became lavradores or sharecroppers on the larger sugar plantations. They did little work other than supervise a few slaves. The traditional role of the Jew as a merchant was chosen by some of the new Jewish immigrants. The Brazilian Portuguese, this is incredible right here. The Brazilian Portuguese had an antipathy for the merchant class, which Boxer attributes to the fact that in the Portuguese-speaking world, a high percentage of the successful merchants were of crypto-Jewish or new Christian origin, largely because all other avenues of advancement were officially closed to them. What does this mean? The Jews participated in the buying, selling, brokering, transportation, and enslavement of Black people from West Africa, even so far as to have embarkation points, outposts, slave posts in Africa. They were so successful in this endeavor that, as we just read, the Brazilian Portuguese started to develop jealousy or antipathy towards them because of how prosperous they were. This is all, again, despite the fact that they're supposed to be under God's curses and are an ethnic minority on all these places where they're going.
Now, they really try to say, when did they try to say Zionism started? Let me see. When did they try to say Zionism started? '19th century. Yeah, right.
We can go to the next one when we're ready.
This is Zionism in pure form. Go ahead.
Tax exemption for slavery. They had 501c3s for slave owners. This is on page 189. It says in 1654, Holland made grants of immunity and other privileges to the people of the Hebrew nation that are to go to the Wild Coast, right? That's the region where they were to go to, right? They were given 16 specific privileges. Let's just get to the point. Let's look at number 9. Here's the quote. Exemption from taxes and customs for 7 years, and if one becomes a sugar plantation owner with 50 Negroes, shall enjoy 12 years of freedom from taxes. So what do you think? So they don't have to pay taxes if they get a plantation, a sugarcane plantation, and they have 50 niggas in slavery. So what do you think I'm going to do if I'm Jewish? I'm going to go, hey, I'm going to go let's all buy a plantation together and go buy these Black people as slaves so we don't have to pay taxes for 12 years. They had a tax exemption status for owning slaves. We can't even make this up. It says customs and duties. It says plantation owner 50 Negroes shall enjoy 12 years of freedom from taxes, customs, and duties. But with a plantation of oxen and 30 Negroes, then it's a 9-year exemption. So if you only have 30 niggas in slavery, well, you got to pay taxes after 9 years. But if you own 50, after 12. What if you own 100? Maybe it's 24. Huh? Maybe some of these people may never even had to pay taxes. This is literally saying Jewish people were given financial incentives and rewards for enslaving as many black people as they could. That's what it's saying. Am I making that up, chat? Am I making that up? Let me know. Let me know if we're just, maybe I'm not understanding it. Maybe I don't have a good reading comprehension. Am I reading that correct? Is that not what it's saying? All right, we can go to the next one unless you have
let me see. I can read this real quick, right? I want to read this real quick. What did it say? In May 1960, this from page 189, Hassad was just reading on. Some Jews from Brazil, Suriname, and West Guyana founded a colony in Tobago, just north of Trinidad, which islands were Spanish colonies. So this is why you get the Inquisition and then the beef with the Holy Office and the Jews. In 1712, Joseph Addison wrote, "They are so disseminated through all the trading parts of the world that they are becoming the instruments by which the most distinct nations converse with one another and by which mankind are knit together in general correspondence. They're like pegs and nails in a great building, which though they are but little valued in themselves, are absolutely necessary to keep the whole frame together." This was them trying to implement the world order, trying to damn near make Hebrew, their modern version of Hebrew, the lingua franca of the world. You understand? So yes, what's in this book? World order, their history, their dirty secrets, who we are, who they are. And this is a reoccurring thing, a pattern. And they're not going to stop until they get it done. They did it back then. They'll put us in captivity again today. But the prophecy says they won't be able to do that. The Bible says right when they're about to fill their belly and implement this new world order, the Most High is going to rain fire and brimstone on them. You understand that? Okay, where we at? You done with this one?
Yep.
Okay.
Treatment of the natives. As illustrated, the relationship between blacks and Jews during the time of colonization was comparable to the relationship of blacks and other groups of Europeans, one of a slave and a master. But what about the indigenous population? The author gives us some insight here on page 135. Sorry, I meant to put 15. Page 15, it says Jews were present in Hispaniola, modern-day Santo Domingo and Haiti, and other Caribbean islands as early as 1495. There were at least 6 Jews with Columbus on his first voyage. Some Jewish soldiers went with Narvaez in 1519 to capture Cortez in Mexico. Narvaez was defeated and his troops joined Cortez, who completed the conquest of the Aztecs in 1521, thereby beginning the Spanish colonization in the New Hemisphere. So they were pivotal, and not only there's other sources that talk about how they helped fund that, but they were pivotal in their role in starting it. They were there as the beginning of Spanish colonization started in the New World. On page 140 and 141, it says, we're continuing from earlier, right? It says one explanation for this is that the original and early inhabitants became plantation owners. This is from when it said that the Inquisition found it difficult to go onto some of these plantations and to go get these Jewish people. And it says,
right. Now, what were they wanted for? What were they wanted for? It's the thing. Now, this is a Jewish man writing this book, so he's not going to say everything that they were wanted for. The sexual immorality. I don't even want to get into graphic detail about that. The injustices, their racism, which is called anti-Gentilism, a phrase that I coined. They got the anti-them, but really in their books, the Talmud, they're anti every non-Israelite. You can commit usury, you can kill them and not go to jail. So I call it anti-Gentilism, right? Now, so the Inquisition is trying to go on these plantations and arrest these Jewish people, namely the Sephardic ones. Why do they want to arrest them? Again, the usury, Sexual immorality, all kind of madness, political espionage. So they're trying to go on these plantations and arrest some of the plantation owners of the Sephardim. And what does this book say happens?
It says one explanation for this is that the original and early inhabitants became plantation owners. These plantations originally grew sugarcane, but later tobacco and cotton supplanted the sugar. The Inquisition officials would have found it difficult to arrest Jews on the plantations, both because of their immense size, for one was larger than Portugal itself, as we covered earlier, and because the Negroes and Indians were, for the most part, friendly to the Jews.
And this is why it's disgusting. I'm going to give it right back to you. This is why it's disgusting. This is why Hassad put Jeremiah 2:14 here, because our people are like homeborn slaves. It says the Indians, which are the indigenous people of South America, who are also bloodline Israelites, you guys should be upset. This is showing how y'all were colonized and conquered by these same people, put on the plantation bigger than Portugal. And so they're saying we can't even arrest these guys for the debauchery and the wickedness that they do, because one, the plantations are too big, and then for two, they got their slaves who are going to fight for them. And that was us and the blacks and the browns, ready to fight for these guys that got us on the biggest plantation. Wow.
And there it is right there. Looky here.
Did you want to say something else on that? Where we at? Oh, what did I just do? Okay, there we go.
So now I just want to get to the next slide. Jeremiah 50:33 says, "Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go." This is the story of our people. We love our oppressor instead of loving each other. And they hate you guys, hate us, love themselves, come together, and they use that unity to oppress us.
Right.
So this is why that book is $3,000.
Right. Let me see if I can go back to the beginning. All right. So at this point, we'll open it up for questions, comments, or smoke. We'll open it up for questions, comments, or smoke. That was the last slide, but we still will stay on just for a little bit longer to open it up for questions, comments, and smoke. Hopefully on this topic. If not any topic, you can join the panel, or you can ask your questions in the chat. All praise to the Most High. Like I said, like, share, and subscribe. We don't know how long they're going to let this information be on YouTube, but it is what it is. We did what we had to do through the Spirit of the Most High. We were impelled by the Spirit of the Most High God and entrusted by the Spirit of the Most High God to get our hands on this here book and present it to y'all, because they've been hiding it for so long. We're going to try to do these more often. What's going on with the people?
Make sure I like and share the video, please. That means you, whoever you are. Oh, if you're watching on a TV, I gotta get up and get the remote and click down and left a couple times. Like, yeah, get your ass up, like the video, share
it. And Tawada to y'all for who super chatted. I seen a couple people sent the Cash App. We greatly appreciate y'all. This is a lot of time and energy, and I hope y'all take this and run with it. Share the video, like it, do your own presentation. Try to get your hands on a used copy and read it for yourself. The PDF is not too bad. I wasn't able to compare every page to see if there was some pages missing or it was watered down. But from what we decided to present today, that was in the PDF. All praises. Okay, let's see. How and why is this a credible source? Genuine question. No smoke, just want to know so I can add to my arsenal. Every Scott, let's go to that slide. Let's go to that slide. You probably came in late. So why is it so expensive? Why is it $3,000? Listen, the fact that it's $3,000 shows you that it's credible. He's a Jewish man. So the New World Jewry is presented in a highly scholarly and academic style, drawing from primary historical documents, official legal codes, church decrees, and government archives. Its meticulous citations, formal analysis, and reliance on verifiable sources give it the weight of serious academic research rather than mere opinion, making its conclusion difficult to dismiss. And in the back of the book, it has all the scholarly sources that it referenced.
Yeah, it has. Let's see. Hold on. 89 to 1 second. 1 second. This is a very important point just to help with that. 89 to where does this note start? The notes end on page 89. The notes start on page 247. So we're talking about 42 pages just for notes. All the sources and citations.
Also, too, let me plug our brother, man. Let me plug our brother out there in Genesis, Toronto. He just started a channel, y'all, and there's about to be a debate. I want you guys to, I don't know, when is this going on? What's the date on this debate? Friday? No.
August 23rd.
August 23rd. Okay.
Next
So
Saturday.
we got an August 23rd debate, y'all. It's going to be crazy. Genesis in the building. Is Jesus the Most High God? Yeah, there we go. Is Jesus the Most High? So make sure you guys, the brother just started the channel. We got to plug in all the Genesis channels. Matter of fact, let's plug all the Genesis Milwaukee, I think, Genesis Minnesota, Genesis Kansas, Genesis North Carolina, Genesis Atlanta, Genesis Seattle, of course, Genesis Sin City,
Dallas,
Genesis Dallas, Genesis Houston. What am I talking about? Yeah, just look up Genesis Israelites, y'all, and make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. I'm gonna put the link to the brother's channel in there as well, so y'all can check out the officer Yawanathan, who been doing a mighty job helping building this camp. All praise to the Most High. Okay. Also, too, I need to plug this as well. Y'all gotta go. I just did this video yesterday. Make sure y'all go. Should Black Hebrew Israelites accept white people? And so we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Should we accept them? Accept them how? And generally, all non-Israelites, Gentiles, definitely going in. We brought up the Gathering of Christ Church, GLCC, some Israelites who do accept the white man. Also, too, y'all, make sure y'all sign up to Genesis Varsity Online Academy, specializing in Hebrew apologetics. Y'all would have got this presentation already if you was up in that Genesis Varsity Online Academy, specializing in Hebrew apologetics. Hit the email to inquire about that. That's deacon@genesis144.com. Deacon@genesis144.com is the email to join the camp or the Genesis Varsity. Hassad got the mezuzahs on deck. What's going on with our mezuzahs, man? Let me take this off the screen.
Let me see him. Boom.
Laws. Keep them laws.
You got to write the commandments on the post of our door, like basically fringes for your house. So if you're interested in buying one, they're $20 plus $5 shipping. You can hit me up on any social media platform at Brother Hassad, Brother HASAD, or email me. My email is Hassad HASAD Mezuzah MEZUZAH @gmail.com.
He said, where do I download the calendar? Genesis-calendar.com. Genesis-calendar.com. Where is it? False Israelites in U.S. fallout. And what book, chapter, and verse? I don't think there's a verse that says Babylon would have skirmishes or hostility with the Jewish community. Love the lesson. Can you do a breakdown on the Mamzer? All you gotta do is type in Mamzer, Sakari Mamzer. This is back when we were in Sakari. We did a lot of Mamzer debates. Or you can go on my page and just type in the word Mamzer. The presentation and debates all on that. What date did they begin their anti-bill in Europe? I can't remember that one. Probably the 40s, the 1940s. No, I think during World War I. I think that Balfour Declaration. All praises. Okay. If I come on, it's gonna be love. Okay. All right, we're gonna again, I appreciate y'all for like, sharing, and subscribing. Appreciate y'all who supported the ministry and donated super chat or via Cash App. Make sure you guys have a safe weekend. Remember, play stupid games, get stupid prizes. Keep your head on the swivel. If you're out there in the DMV area, watch out for them ice cream trucks. They are coming through at midnight, 10 p.m., and all these little kids are missing out there in the DMV area. I'm surprised they letting the ice cream trucks even operate with as many kids are missing out there. Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump just agreed to a ceasefire. We'll see how long that lasts, and we'll probably do some commentate on that. Does that align with prophecy? And so, yeah, y'all keep us in your prayers. We're going to keep going hard if it be the Lord's will and keep that fire burning. Much love, peace, and blessings. Big G's, not the little ones, here to feed the little ones, and shalom.
Sure. Sure.